I'd like to be first out, except on commissioners, I can do that. But I have a question to direct to all of y'all about property taxes. It's been a subject in this county for a long time about spreading the property tax out over the year and having a deadline, like we have December now. And I would like to know how many of you all would be, or which one of you would be willing to look into that. I already have, I know a little bit about what it takes to get it done. But I think it needs to be done first for senior citizens on limited income, people with children that tax hits them on December the 15th, that may be laid off from work. Nobody wants the whole property tax, but I've looked at 3 or 4 counties and they are doing this, and actually, I know it has to go through the legislature and you have to talk, but I like to vote on how I pay my taxes, and I'll just let you all answer the question, and thank you and good luck.
Everybody will be okay?
Could you go to the mic?
I'll take her number.
Oh, good deal.
My name is Mike Key. I'm running Richards County Tax Commissioner. I've lived in the county since I was 13 years old, about 33 years. Nobody's doing the math in that, good. All right, so I am running Tax Commissioner, so I really appreciate your vote. But I believe the question was spreading out the tax payments throughout the year. There's a couple of things about that. I did work in the Tax Commissioner's office for a lot of years, and there are a few things about it. It couldn't be done quarterly. It could be done biannually, or twice a year. And like I said, that has to go to the governing authority, so the county commissioner would be the ones to vote on that, not the tax commissioner. And it may have to go to a public vote also. But it probably wouldn't be cost effective for a county our size, because you're looking at having to put out 2 different tax digests, and also having to do the billing system twice through the year. You'd have to have more staff to take care of that also. So having to hire in, you're looking at a cost that probably wouldn't be effective for us. Plus, you're looking, the first part of the year, tax bills go out reads January 1st. And then you have the digest that's approved, your assessment notices go out. And when your assessment notices go out, you have to come back and if you don't agree with your assessment, so you have an appeal process. So you have to have time for that to take place and some other things to take place before the bills actually do go out in October. And they are due payable in October. You pay them in October instead of December if you want to pay them in October. And that would be what I would say on it is if you really wanted to change the biannually, I would go to the county commissioners, because they would be the ones to vote on that. But that would be my reasoning on why I think it should probably be done the way it's done. But I really wouldn't have a say in it.
Hello, good evening. My name is Charlie Stevens. I'm running for tax commissioner. I was born and raised here in Catoosa County all my life. I'm a business owner for the past 20 years with Stevens Garbage Service. I'm active in my community. I'm active in the youth. I've been a volunteer fireman, Station 1, for several years. I've done a lot of volunteer work. And I love my county. And born and raised here, and have a lot of things that I've accomplished here. So if you would consider me for your vote. Ma'am, on your question, if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking about multiple payments or what have you. Mike's right. There's really nothing we can actually, by law, we can't change anything. It's all by state government. I would be willing to look into it. I'll go to the right channels if I am elected and see if we can get something done about it. I understand how the citizens are in the county, the elderly people, your veterans, disabled people. There are a lot of people out here that are having a hard time paying their bills. I will educate our communities about saving taxpaying money. There are a lot of ways that you can save money, and a lot of people in our county are not educated on it. as for different tax laws, different breaks, 62, 65, 75 years old. A lot of people don't know when. They don't know when you're supposed to come in and actually do it. I feel like that I can educate our communities by trying, and what I can be capable of doing is educating our communities about when that is, and what time of year to come in. And I do it by social media and also newspapers. And I'd also say, for example, if you turn 62 years old, next month we have capabilities of knowing when your birthday is by sending a card and letting you know that you're eligible. And if you come in by a certain date, that we can get the paperwork filled out for you. But I would be willing to go over loops and bounds if I could to help people in our county. Because I've got, my grandparents are the same way. They was retired and they couldn't pay their taxes at times and it was tough on them. So, I understand things like that. I'd be willing to do what I do. I would be willing to do what it took to make our county citizens make it better for them if I could. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jama House. It's pronounced Jama for some of you that have been asking me about it, but I live in Ringgold, Georgia. I've lived here for about 17 years, and I'm running for tax commissioner as well. I have really enjoyed living in Catoosa County, and I wasn't born and raised here, but I chose to raise my family here. My husband and I had several choices at the time, but we loved Ringgold and we loved Catoosa County, so I'm happy to be part of this community. I have an accounting degree from Carson Middle University. I have worked as a CPA and auditor with Ernst & Young. I've worked at several businesses around the area. Erlanger is one of them. I've worked at Synthetic Industries. Some of you may be familiar with that company. That was in Chickamauga. And currently, I'm working as an accountant for Trinco Logistics. It's a trucking and warehousing company that's located off Shalford Road. I've seen a lot of growth in our business. That's my experience. The current business I'm in has gone from like 50 employees to now over 204 years. And the projections for our county are that we are going to continue to grow. Catoosa County has a lot of growth projected, and I feel like I have the capabilities of helping to manage that. As far as the question that was presented, as the other candidates have stated, the tax commissioner doesn't have the capability to change your tax rate or change your assessment. Our job we have is to bill and collect the taxes. Currently, if a tax bill is late, we have to charge interest. We're required by law to collect interest on any bill that is late. That is a Georgia state law. And we are held accountable for that. And as unpleasant as taxes are, I would love to sit up here and say, yes, I can change all your taxes, but that, I can't do that. I'm not going to promise you something I can't do. What I can promise you is that I would send you an accurate and correct bill for the folks that are disabled or veterans or elderly. The county already has, concessions set up as far as existing that they can apply for to help them to be able to meet their tax bill. So I'm required to follow those laws that our county commissioners have passed, and I will continue to follow, whatever they pass. But as you know, with taxes, a lot of you pay your federal income tax every year, and every year there's a new law. Something changes. We now have our health care as part of our tax return. So there's opportunities out there. There's things the county commissioners and the state level can do to change that it's not something that the tax commissioner's office can do, and it's not something that I will do as far as my job. That's not what this job is employed to do. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Autry, and I'm also running for the tax commissioner's office. I'm a person who says what he means and does what he says. And I would like to have your name again, please.
Bill Squeeze.
I believe that a good leader in position can help a lot. And I would love to personally, even though I'm not a tax commissioner, start looking into it for you right now. And I will have your number when we get through and see what can be done. But anybody who's in government service should look for any way to help anybody. And I will do it. Thank you.
Barbara Stevens. I have a question about, I live in a community in the Blackstock community, and honestly, the school system's there, you know, a lot of the children, you know, we have a great school there at Tyrone Creek, and but a lot of people in my community, they're not educated on the tax issues. And I know that a lot of people struggle. I look in the paper and see who's having the levies and different things done to them. It seems a lot of people in my area, you know, what can each of you do to educate the people? I mean, y'all were talking about, the Republican Party talked about the annex, you're not voting there. You know, I mean, I didn't know that. So how am I supposed to go back to my community and inform them the information I get today about that? Or, you know, we need to, my actual question is, on the late fees and things, you just said it was a state thing to ask to charge those fees. Who gets those fees and where does that money go for our community? That's my question.
Well, to answer that question, as far as I know, everything goes back to the state. I mean, it actually goes into the county. The tax commissioner collects taxes. They collect ad valorem taxes, they collect on the taxes on the vehicle, every year on birthdays. All that money goes into the account. And then, you know, we pay taxes to the cities of Flowood, Ringgold, and state taxes. You know, everything goes back to the state, I'm sure at the bottom line, but it does, they write checks out. We write checks as a tax commissioner to all the entities of the county. And then I guess the remaining, the fees go back to the state of Georgia, as far as that's my knowledge of it. Unless I was in that office, I mean, it would be hard for me to tell you exactly what percentages or whatever. I don't know the formula of that. I don't know if it's a public record. I've not noticed it. To me, that would be something, if you was actually a tax commissioner, you would be educated on that. But I'll definitely look into it for the future, find out exactly if there's anything available for my knowledge. But there's a lot of ways you can educate your communities. If you're active in your community, you can educate them. A lot of this stuff is online. It's a general knowledge that anybody can type up and find. There's a lot of things I learned about this job, and I wanted to learn a little bit about it before I ran for it, because, you know, I feel like you need to be involved in something, you know, like that before you get in here and answer like these questions. I mean, all of us up here, we're not politicians. A lot of our elected officials weren't politicians. They're people that love their county. They work hard. They've seen the elderly people of our county struggle. And I have, guys. I've been right there with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. What I was referring to earlier was actually an interest charge. There's actually two separate charges on the late fee. There's a penalty and an interest. And I wasn't referring to the penalty part, but the interest part, because if it is late, then the county incurs that interest. If they have to go ahead and outlay that money before it's collected, then if we didn't charge that interest to the taxpayer, then the county would have to pay it, which in turn everyone's rate to go up the following year because the interest rate for the budget would go up. So that was what I was referring to earlier, not the penalties. But as far as educating the county, and especially the seniors, a lot of seniors, I know my mother-in-law doesn't have a computer in her home. She doesn't have internet. So for those of us that do, of course, there's a website you can go to, and it's easily accessible. But one thing we get, I get a lot of newspapers in my house. We get the 4 counties, Chattooga, Walker, Dade, and Catoosa. So I get to see all the newspapers. And I noticed last week in Chattooga County, there was a huge ad talking about the deadlines and the tax deadlines. And it was in the paper. And I thought, what a great idea. That's a super idea. A lot of seniors that don't have the internet still read the paper. And it just was, and even folks that maybe aren't aware of deadlines, it's just that, or you may be aware of it, you may have looked at it on the internet, but it slips your mind, we're all busy. Everybody's got lives, they're not thinking about taxes 24/7. But it's just a reminder, and I thought that was a super idea to get the word out, not only on the internet, but in the local paper. So I would offer that suggestion.
I believe I have to agree with that. Thinking back here, the question that was asked, we're working from the bottom up. And there's not a lot we can do other than be a positive influence and serve the best of our goodness. While we're making changes on the interest, it's going to be compounded daily. That's what we hear coming down the pipe. They give us these breaks, and there's 9 ways we have to figure out how not to give it to you. And that's what I look at. It looks like it'd be more simplified than what it is. So to do some of these things, we really start going to have to look at the top. And there are laws and rules that are made, but there's not a lot of help that we can give you at this point. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Going back to the original question, I think your question again was,
Without the late fees and penalty charges, what do we do with that money? What does the county do? Does it go back to the state, or what happens to it?
yeah, Jama answered that correctly. As far as I know, that goes back into the county budget. But that first penalty that goes on, the interest that goes on is 1%, and the second month is another 1%, and the penalty is 2%, and that would go back to the county. But to answer your question, are you on Facebook?
Yes.
How many people here have a Facebook?
There's a lot of people in my community who don't.
Yeah, about half the page. That would be one way that I would say we get out. If the tax commissioner's office had a Facebook page, the county office has a Facebook page. So that would be one way to get the word out, because like if you're going to look on the website, you're actually going to look for a deadline on something, like the deadline to sign for homestead exemption was April 1st. So you'd have to actually go and look, when's the deadline for homestead exemption? A lot of people aren't going to take that initiative, but if you have a Facebook and it pops up in your news feed, that's coming to you, something like that. Another way to do it would be to have an insert with the tax bills, because everybody that has property in the county gets a tax bill. So we have an insert along with that. I think would be good. They even have a breakdown of the different deadlines, not just when the penalties and interest might be going on, but also when to do certain things like sign up for your homestead exemptions. So I think that'd be another way to get the word out, because not everybody gets the newspaper, not everybody has Facebook, not everybody takes the initiative to go on the website and look at that. But if you have an insert to go in there, maybe you can put out like a yellow or a pink sheet of paper to go in there and say, this is something that you look at. So that might have draw some interest to it.
My wife is not here, so if this question is repeated to her, that's okay. We are approaching that age 62 break, and mine's coming up this week, hers will be next week. So I understand that there is a break on property taxes at age 62, but I'm ignorant as far as when you apply for that, if it's after the birth dates, if it's at the end of the year when the property taxes are due or whatever. If you could inform me of that and the audience, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that question. And you are correct. There are exemptions that come due depending on your age, depending on your service. If you served in the military, there's homestead exemptions. There's several different kinds. The homestead exemption I know is you had to apply for it by April 1st. As far as the age, I'm not sure on that. I would have to look it up. We have a tax commissioner's guide. It's a 400-page document. And I have been studying that, but I haven't committed it all to memory at this moment. So I would hate to tell you something wrong. I don't want to lead anyone astray and tell you something that I can't deliver. So, but what I can do is get with you afterwards and tell you it's in the book, and I'm capable of looking up and researching. That's one of my good things. Reciting is maybe not the first one.
Yes, there is a school tax, $2,000 exemption at age 62. Now, my wife is a property tax expert, and she's here, she can probably tell us if in fact that there's some exemptions to that group. Can you tell us for that?
Good afternoon.
62.
It's 62, there's an exemption based on your income, if you're still working. There's one with the status of working and not working. You can make up to 10,000 taxable income minus deductions, so you're Georgia 500. And you would qualify, if it's not over 10,000 with a bottom line of taxable income, you would qualify for the status of not working. But there is a small exemption for when you turn the age of 62, no matter what, it takes about $38 a year off your taxes, and the other one is about $162. You have to be that age January 1 to get that exemption. So, if your birthday is now, during the year, you sign up from your birthday until April 1st next year. So,
Thank you. That's what I did. I did that for you since your wife lived here. But you can see how they operate. They tell us we're going to get an exemption, and look for 6, 7 ways to take it. That's the way it always works. I know.
Make sure I understand the question. Yes, one more time, just make sure I understand.
In other words, do you file for that exemption when you turn 62 or at the end of the year when the property taxes are due?
Okay. Yeah, like Loretta said, I think Loretta and I actually sat beside each other when I worked in the office for about 6 or 7 years there. But yeah, she answered pretty much right. Well, actually, she answered right. You sign, yeah, what she said. Your birthday, whenever your birthday falls, you can go ahead and sign up, but it won't go into effect until the following year. Like I said before, tax bills go out the way the deed reads January 1st of the taxable year, but it's how everything stands January 1st of the taxable year. So you have to be the 62 or 65 or 75 before January 1, but you can go ahead and sign up. So like when you go in to renew your auto tags, it's a good idea to go ahead and sign up for that. And then it would go into effect for the next year, not that year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, y'all got the answer. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it, but I know what it is. But, you know, get back to, when you're 75 years old, if you have a $150,000 home, if you're 75 years old, the school taxes are waived up to $150,000 if it's your primary residence. That's a big one, if we make it that long. I feel like it should be changed different times, but I don't have no authority with that. But maybe our state representative, our legislative people can make that. I'd be willing to talk to them about it, guys. I know it'll be a break for everybody. We're going to be there too. So they've already answered the question, but thank you very much.
I want to follow up on that a little bit. As far as paying taxes, say quarterly or, however, twice a year, whatever, a lot of people are losing their homes because they can't pay these taxes. And how do you expect them to pay a penalty and an interest fee if they can't even pay their taxes? That's number one. Number two is on this 75, age 75. That's on the buoy. I was gonna ask about the 75 deal because,
Which one do you want to answer right now, first, please? Ask one question.
let's answer the second one. Okay. The second one here, the 75-year deal, if anything, we shouldn't have to wait a whole year before we get our exemption. If anything, I feel like that we need to prorate it. If anything, not wait a whole year, but shoot, we could die between. Where there's a will, there's a way, and if it were me, I would be checking out to see what little loopholes in there that we could have in order to get these things right. Thank you.
I said, we don't change those laws, but we can look into it. Like I said, that'd be something we certainly could look into. Mike has stated, I think in one of the interviews that, if you're there, you go next door and try to get if you do any exemptions. As not being a government employee, I've always leaned forward. I think we can actually run reports and we can find you and tell you, you got exemptions coming, if you ever come in there. I don't think the county does that enough for these people who are aging 62 and beyond. And they think of it in the past term as, government employees, they sit back and they wait for you to come in. But this has always worked in. We lean forward. Before we got reports, we can find you and let you know if something's, that you deserve something, got something coming to you. So I think that's where we should operate, and that's what I plan to do if I'm elected.
It is definitely something we can look into. I mean, as far as it can go county by county, and then it would go to a vote. So, like you were asking about the over 75 exemption, there are other counties that join us that school tax exemption comes off at age 70 instead of 75, and it can be county by county, and it could go to a vote, but that would be beyond our means. That would be a county governing authority to look at that. So, but it is something to look at, and maybe a possibility in the future, something of that nature. But yeah, as far as that goes, we could look into it and see what could be done.
I agree with you, ma'am, on the thing, like you said, each one of them said, we can't do really anything about per law say, but we can't dig into it. And we could go to our representatives and see if we can get a vote, like you said, or we can do some changes. I feel the same way y'all do about taxes, especially our elderly people on fixed incomes, or disabled people. My father's a disabled person, and they struggle, just like when he was working, everything was fine, but, you take an income out, it puts a hurt on him. He's also 65 years old. He's worked hard all his life, been a business owner in this county. He worked hard all his life. And my mother, the same way, she worked for the state of Georgia, and she's involved in that also. But we got to stand up for our people. We got to stand up for our veterans. We got to stand up for all the elderly people. As young guys, we're going to be there one day too. We've got to stand up for our people, and whatever it takes, I know I'll be the one to stand up for you. When you come in the office of tax commission, I'm going to treat you like family or friends. And you come talk to me, I'll do what I can in my power to help you along the way, give you an avenue to go down or whatever. There's a lot we can't do by law, but we can give you different avenues to go down and try to help you. But thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. I know that's on a lot of seniors' minds, and I think we've all proven here tonight how complicated taxes are. And as soon as you understand what the exemptions are, what the dates are, I can promise you they're going to change every year. There's changes in the taxes, but I wouldn't quote you tonight, on any dates or amounts without researching it first. But I can tell you, if elected tax commissioner, I could meet with seniors come in, and we could go over what you have, what your age, any other options that you may have for getting exemptions. I spoke with Sandra Self briefly, and she said, we have a very healthy county. We're very lucky to live in Catoosa County, and they have about a 97% collection rate on taxes. So we're doing very well right now. But to make any changes to county statutes or state statutes, I think that's an excellent question, but I would pose it to Keith Green and Steve Henry when they get up here. I think that's a great question for them. Not to pass the buck,
We're going to take one final question for the tax commissioners.
Hi.
tax commissioner candidates.
Yes.
Sorry.
I have a question regarding your office. How much leeway does the tax commissioner have on issues? I live in a neighborhood not too far from here, 200 households, taxpayers all. And when the developer handed it off to the homeowners association, he did not give us all of the property. He held on to the common areas, and we did not know that. And somebody on our homeowners group saw a notice in the paper that the common areas were being sold for non-payment of taxes. We scraped together the money for the tax bill, went to the courthouse steps, which is what the commissioner told us we needed to do. And it was about $14,000 to pay for the back taxes and the interest. Someone had told an investor from Chattanooga, and he came down, had his representative come down, he thought it would be a good investment that he could sell or give to the state and make money off of it. The tax areas, or the common areas in our neighborhood went for $45,000. We could not pay that. When someone from our homeowners association approached the commissioner, she said, well, it's been published in the paper. Obviously, that's how we found out about it. So we have to go through with the sale. Do you have any leeway that you know of to do some research about that property before it goes to the point of being published and put on sale publicly like that?
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, once it does go advertised like that, once the levy process starts, it follows on through unless the taxes are paid on it. Now, it is one thing to think about. To save it from the sale, yeah, this is not really the best. You're not going to like this answer, I don't think, but this is one thing that could happen. Anybody can pay the property taxes. So instead of going to the sale, the taxes could have been paid before the sale, and the sale could have been stopped. But the ownership wouldn't change. It would still be owned by the developer, but it would have gone to tax sale.
Well, he's out of business now, so you can't.
Yeah, so, and then something else you could look at through the assessor's office, like to see, like if he was an LLC, like if he's, you could go and look at that and see if that's been dissolved. If it may not even be able to be approached by him, or it may not even have an ownership like that. It's a lot of things to look at, but that would be one thing, like I said, anybody can pay the tax. I can pay my parents' tax bill, but that doesn't give me ownership of their home. But it would save it from...
In the paper, is that right? Once it's in the paper, you're...
No, even if it's advertised, the taxes can be paid. The taxes can be paid. Yeah, even if it goes into the paper, because that would stop the sale. So yeah, you could have paid the $14,000 whatever the tax bill was at that time, and stopped the sale, and then the investor wouldn't have been able to run the price up and take it like that. But it probably would take a little bit longer of a conversation, and that gives that open door policy. Thank you.
He is correct. Once the sale does go in the paper, it has to move forward. That's a good question, and I wish that there was something that they could do. He is correct. Anybody can pay anybody's taxes, but it doesn't change ownership until the property is sold by the interest party or the county. One thing like that happened in my neighborhood. An elderly lady passed away. Her children had already been gone. They're gone home, and her property sat there, and the taxes weren't paid. So they went to the courthouse. A guy came in there's several people there that stood out back, and they sat there and bid as a bid war. It's sad that people work hard for everything they have, and all of a sudden they have a bad time, or they pass away, or they're elderly, whatever, and they can't pay it, and people take it from you. I feel like that, like you said, you got to have an open door policy that you come in and talk. And if all the offices in our county are like that, and they welcome you in, and then questions like that, maybe they can get you the right people. That's hard to say. You live in a community that don't even own the common ways. But really, there's nothing, per se that can be done about it according to the state of Georgia laws. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I'm a little bit familiar with that incident because I went door to door in that community, and several houses that I stopped at, I had a long speech for about 15 minutes. So I do understand it, and it was a most unfortunate event for that neighborhood, and it affected a lot of people, and I feel like it was maybe a developer taking advantage, or I don't, know really all the details of what happened, but it was unfortunate. But it did become a legal process, and that's something I wouldn't give legal advice on personally. But, the paper, the Catoosa County News is the required, that's where you advertise legal notices. That's what the law says, that's where you have to advertise. So, they did take the legal approach of advertising it in the paper, but I do agree that is an unfortunate event. But as far as, legal advice, I can't do that.
A lot of help we are, right?
Well, I'm just looking forward so nobody else has to go through this. We did get the property back.
Yeah, perhaps a tax office could have helped you look forward, if they look forward. Now, there is a gray area written by law in the tax that we haven't investigated yet. I just heard about it just recently, and I would like to investigate that so we can help you more in different ways. But, thank you so much. Is this all the last question?
Let's give it